Sometimes a last-minute goal will send you to the depths of despair. Other times, they will send you into a state of euphoria. Thankfully, this weekend, it was the latter. Okay, not the best performance. However, as I keep getting reminded a lot of the time, it's about the 3 points. It's about getting the result. So it kind of depends on how you look at it. Now, I'm kind of a little bit in the middle. I want the result. I want the result more than anything. But at the same time, I want to see a decent performance. So I kind of live on the point of sometimes I'll get the performance, sometimes I'll get the result, sometimes I get a little bit of one and a little bit of the other. But I have to keep level-headed and I have to keep my feet on the ground, right? This is a sport. It's a game of football. I have to keep it in mind and keep myself to a level of understanding around it. So I want to see my team play good football. And for the most part this season, we've done that. It might not be consistent for the whole 90 minutes. It might not be for the whole 45 minutes. But in bits and starts, you can see some really good football. Now, I've got to be honest with you. I honestly didn't think we played that badly. Not the best performance. But did we play that badly? I don't think we did. Did we really feel that we were constantly under threat and struggling against a very good Brighton side? Or did we keep them at bay, keep them on the edge and get to a point where we kept going and kept going and kept going, and with a couple of little bits of magic by playing well, we got the result? I don't know. You guys tell me how you feel about it. But I have to say, I've been back, watched the highlights, and I didn't feel like we were under that much pressure. Of course, when it's 1-0 against you or it's very tight, then of course there's always a chance you're going to lose the game, right? Because it can swing each way. We saw it last week against Everton with the last minute header in there that will break your heart. We see it and we know that can happen. But you've got to keep your feet on the ground. You've got to keep yourself level on this stuff, because it'll drive you mad if not. And I've seen loads of it, you know. I've listened to loads of people talking and that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of the time people go over the top. This is, and I know I keep saying it, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but this is a team that's absolutely in transition, right? And I know we've had transitions before, and it's been pointed out to me, you know, we've been in transition for 5 years, right? But those transitions were poor. They didn't work. They weren't what we really needed. You have to weigh it up this time. You've got a manager who wants to promote front foot, attacking, high press, high line football, which is entertaining. Okay? You've also got that manager who wants to be the Tottenham manager, who is grateful for the opportunity to be the Tottenham manager and wants to build something. We haven't had that. We've had defensive-minded coaches who thought that they were better than us, better than the club, who deserve more than what the club was offering. So for me, that's a win already. Add to that, you've just lost your best player in Harry Kane. A player who's been scoring for fun for years now. Tottenham's greatest goal scorer. He's almost the Premier League top goal scorer. You lose him just before the season kicks off. But you wouldn't notice it, right? You wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that you've just lost Tottenham's greatest player. Let's be brutally honest about it. You've got players coming through, young players building for the future, that want to be there, that want to play for Tottenham. You're taking players from the likes of Bayern Munich, from the likes of Barcelona. Players looking at this and going, I'd quite like to be a part of that. You've got a camaraderie amongst this team that looks amazing. It looks amazing. It looks like they really, really want to be there. We've lost players for injury. We've lost players through suspension. We've lost players through the Asian Cup. We've lost players through the AFCON. And yet here we are, still sitting, as I speak, in 4th position in Champions League spots. Now, again, at the beginning of the season, I was like, losing Harry Kane, new manager, don't know enough about him, coming from a Farmers League, all those kind of, clickbait comments that you kind of see. I personally wasn't expecting it to gel as well as it has, or to be backed in the way he has, or to get the players that we have. Now, these players could have turned out to be rubbish. We've invested a lot of money in players over those years before Ange Postecoglou. And I know we can go back to Poch and the fact that he wasn't backed. Absolutely get that. And then you can talk about Mourinho, you can talk about Conte saying that they wanted these players but didn't get those players, they got that player and blah, blah, blah. As Ange has said, it's not necessarily about how much you pay for a player. It's about the player, the position, the ethos, how the person feels, how they fit in. If you've ever been part of a team, whether it be at work or in a club or in a sport or whatever, you need different attributes to be successful. You don't need big-time Charlies all the time to be the best. We've seen it. We've seen it happen. I remember watching Chelsea buy every player under the sun and it not work for them until they get that mix right. And that's what you've got to do. At the same time as that, you've got to build for the future. You've got to bring in players. As much as it disappoints me to see players come in and then go straight out on loan and stuff like that, because you think to yourself, I don't need that. I need the players now. We need the depth now. But I honestly, truly do believe that you need a bit of both if you're going to be longer term sustainable. And as Postecoglou keeps saying, this is about building for long-term success, not just to win a cup for cup's sake or, whatever, a one-off. You want to dominate. You want to dominate the league. You want to dominate all the competitions. I've looked back at FA Cup winners, right, over the last sort of 20-odd years. League Cup winners over the last 20-odd years. Premier League winners over the last 20-odd years. And it's always the same clubs. Always. You can throw in an odd Leicester. I'll give you that. You can throw in an odd Portsmouth with the FA Cup or a Wigan and teams like... You can throw them in. Of course you can. Right? But they're flukes. They're flukes. It just doesn't happen. Teams dominate. Arsenal dominated. Man United dominated, Liverpool have dominated, Chelsea have dominated, and now City are dominating. And everyone's going like it's something new. It isn't. It's always been like that. So you've got to invest for the future, invest for the longer term. You can't just sit back and go, we want all these players now and that's going to win us something and that's it, job done. You've got to maintain that. You've got to want to dominate. And I get all that. So I'm kind of accepting of the fact that we are buying players and loaning them out and all the rest of it. But at the same time, we are building a squad that works now. So for me, that was the biggest thing that came out of this weekend. All the players are back. Pretty much all of them are off the injury list, apart from Sessegnon, who's always on the injury list. Gio Lo Celso always on the injury list, right? But apart from that, pretty much everybody else is back. Solomon, I forgot Solomon. But everybody else is pretty much back. What a difference it makes to be able to go, well, we're going to take this player off and bring on Son. We're going to take that player off and we're going to bring on Bissouma. Or we're going to have Werner play, or we're going to have Kulu play. Or whatever. The options on the bench are massively better now than they've been for a long time. Whether you agree with all these players are good enough or not, they're all developing and learning and gelling together. Every player gets a fair amount of stick. Kulu's getting it at the minute, not enough end product. Werner's getting it, another Levy cheap deal. Brendan Johnson, not good enough, just a kid. Richarlison, oh yeah, he's only scored 8 goals in 8 games, but yeah, he's not good enough. Like, I get it. I can understand the frustration and why people feel the way that they do. But this is about supporting the team, supporting the players that you've got who work to get us where they get us. Brennan Johnson has scored 2 goals in his last couple of games. Good goals, well taken. And you can see that he clearly wants to play for this team. He wants to. Same as Richarlison. Man of the match performances, even without scoring, because he's working so hard. He is not Harry Kane. He's never going to be Harry Kane. You can't replace Harry Kane. You can't. I'm sorry. If it was that easy, everybody else would be buying players like Harry Kane. You can't replace him. It's not going to happen. So you've got to work with what you've got. So when you've got players like Matasar, dropping a goal in, and Johnson dropping a goal in, it all adds to that. If you look at all the players that have scored for us this season, there's been a big contribution across the team. And that's what it's a team sport. It's about the whole team. But yeah, this is why I get a little bit frustrated, right? Because I want what you want. I want the results. I want us to win. I want trophies. I want domination. And I've been watching this team since I was 11 years old. And I've been through a fair amount of crap watching it. But you stick with it because it's your team and you're always going to support your team. And of course, everyone's entitled to their opinions because it's all about opinions. Otherwise, you won't be watching this video and going, you're talking crap, Lee. Or, yeah, you're spot on, Lee. You wouldn't be watching it if you didn't have an opinion about it. So it's what invokes this passion in us. There is no other sport in the world that creates the passion that football does. Because it's just so ingrained in us as football fans. But listen, I'm digressing, I'm rambling on, as I always do. The point is, good weekend for us. We win the game, Villa lose, which again is good for us. Keeps us in there, keeps us in 4th position rather than flip-flopping about. Always felt, since this has kind of developed, that Villa would be the ones we're really battling with to get that 4th spot. You can see Liverpool are right up there. Man City are on a charge. Arsenal have just demolished the massive mob down the road in East London. And so they're kind of up there, they're well ahead of us in terms of their project. Villa are kind of in the same boat as us, trying to develop, trying to build, trying to get somewhere. So, we need to battle with them to get that 4th spot, which will be great, right? Next season, Champions League football, how brilliant will that be if that continues? But if we need to grind out results, we need to. If we can play good football at the same time, I'll love it. But there is no feeling. I did a video after the Sheffield United game where I came out of the stadium. I'd had a couple of beers and I'd watched the game and we nicked it right at the end. And I was just buzzing, absolutely buzzing. Because there is no feeling like it. And that was the feeling this weekend as well. So for me, I'm just happy that we got the result. And there were parts of that game I thought we played well. There were parts that weren't particularly brilliant. But the result is the most important thing. That's what people keep telling me. And I agree, it is. But I think you've got to keep a level head and keep thinking about it in the right way. There's lots of things to us consider, lots of things that I've just kind of talked about. We can't judge how far we've come until the end of the season. We can't judge how good it's going to be until probably the end of next season to go, well, actually, have we pushed on? What's the summer window been like? How are we faring in Europe? Because at this point, you've got to be saying to yourselves, Europe's in our grasp, whether it be Champions League or Europa League or Conference or whatever it is, it's in our grasp, right? So how do we fare against that? How do we perform, lose, playing in Europe and then coming back for the Premier League and so on and so forth? So we can't really judge until probably the end of next season. But keep the faith. This is what it's all about. This is what we pay our money for. you know, I'd much rather go there and have that passion and that collective joy with this team and with this spirit. And the atmosphere sounds amazing. If you watched the Arsenal West Ham game, honestly, the atmosphere was so dead in that ground. It was almost embarrassing. And then if you watch the Man City game, there's more empty seats than there is people watching it, which again, I can't understand. Best team in Europe, playing great football with top players, winning all the time, really, and you've got fans not bothering. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. And here we are with a great manager who talks a lot of common sense, who's got a great rapport with the fans, with the players, with his coaches. You've got a team that's growing with some really good players in it, some exciting young players in it as well. What is there to moan about? What is there to moan about? We didn't expect to be where we are. We didn't expect to be in the battle for top four. We expected to be mid-table mediocrity, finding our feet and seeing where this is going to take us. I'm all for where we are now. I'd much rather be where I am now than where we were under Conte. So for me, I'll take it. I'm happy. I'm happy. Results have gone our way. We keep on till the next one. Wolves next weekend, or this weekend actually, at home again, and then Palace, I think, at home again. So a good opportunity to get another couple of games under our belt. Fingers crossed we can grab the results from there, because we certainly owe those two teams a bit of a payback. So for me, I'm all for it. And by the way, if you ever watch Dave the Irish Hotspur's videos of predictions, you will notice that I am now Lee the clairvoyant Dorset Spur, because I called this one 2-1 and I said it would be a tough game. See? So watch that. Place a bet on what I predict, because you might just win a few quid. Spoiler alert, I don't get it right a lot, so just take it from me. But anyway, I'll be at the Wolves game. So if you see me there, come and say hello. I'll be in the Gilpin Bell for my breakfast. LTs maybe for a couple of drinks. Might even pop down to the Bill Nicholson pub, see if I can see me mate in there as well. So, but if you see me and you want to say hello, I'll be in the South Stand. If not, and you think I'm a dickhead, just ignore me. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hit the thumbs up, all that old malarkey, and I'll speak to you after the next one. Up the Spurs.